From Sober Smash Studios, it's The Journey with drug and alcohol attorney Mark G. Astor.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of The Journey. We're here at the Sober Smash podcast studios, and I'm very excited to have really exciting guest, Heidi Rain. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Smash.
Yeah, Sober Smash.
Let's smash it.
So what's interesting about Heidi being on the show is her husband, Doug, was our first guest here at the Sober Smash studios, and he was a lot of fun. But I have a funny feeling that you might be even more fun than your husband, and I'll tell you why, because you do a very good English accent. In fact, you sound even more English than me.
I do, because I'm not trying to be American like you are.
Do I sound? I think I do. My friends in England tell me I sound American. But the other thing that's cool about you, Heidi, is you are a master life and relationship expert. That's very cool. I don't know what that means, but I know we're going to talk about it.
I don't either. Maybe we'll figure it out by the end of the interview. We'll piece it all together and it all makes sense.
I might need your help after the show. I can tell that.
Okay. I'm taking clients.
All right. I like that. All right. So listen, let's get into it. So, you know, you have a very interesting background, so I want to talk about that for a minute. But tell us where you grew up and what life was like as a young Heidi.
Oh, man. Well, I grew up in a little town right outside of Morgantown, West Virginia, right on the border of West Virginia and Pennsylvania. And coal miner country. My grandpa was a coal miner. My dad was a coal miner. And it was a really poor town. You know, and you don't know that until you really get out, but there wasn't a lot. There was a very small town. There was no, you know, it took 45 minutes to go to the mall. You know, one of those kind of towns.
I never met anybody whose father was a coal miner, so this is a first. Listen, you
go
might
to
be
West Virginia and Pennsylvania.
You're the first coal miner's daughter we've had on the show. This is the first for Sober Smash.
Legit.
That's great. So, I mean, how do you go from little town West Virginia to big town Boca? I mean, that's a hell of a...
big town Boca.
That's a big journey, right? I mean, we live in a bubble here in Boca, but it's really quite different from anywhere else, especially a little coal mining town in West Virginia.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I was growing up, I definitely always felt like I wanted to kind of explore something outside of where I was. But the challenge is, like, a lot of people who grow up in really small towns don't leave their small towns. They end up getting married. They end up settling down there. My family actually moved. We were kind of forced out of there. We moved to a bigger city in Pennsylvania when I was like 15. We moved to Harrisburg. And so that was like my first introduction to, like, oh my God, this is like a city. And that's not a city by any stretch of the imagination. But I think what was ingrained in me when I was a little girl was I always liked achieving. When I was in school, I always wanted to be like the smartest kid in school. I always wanted to, you know, finish my tests first and kind of become something. So I always had that in the back of my mind, is that setting goals, achieving goals, accomplishing things was always extremely, extremely important to me.
So you were a competitive person?
Internally competitive, and more of like an internal judgment. Like I never quite felt enough. So I think a lot of my achieving stemmed from just kind of feeling like I was always falling short.
Okay, where do you think that came from?
Well, I think, you know, a lot of the people that I work with come from dysfunctional families or troubled childhoods or tough childhoods. Growing up, I had my challenges, and my dad was an alcoholic, and I had a tough time. And really, out of that, what I've noticed is that, you know, when people have like a dysfunctional childhood, 9 times out of 10, they don't come out like losers, right? Like degenerates. They come out as really high achieving people, but the challenge is often they're climbing ladders that lean against the wrong wall. Because
what does that mean?
It means I climb a ladder of achievement only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall. I'm not where I really want to be because it's unfulfilling. And so when you never really feel enough and you pursue achievement, there's no degree, there is no schooling, there is no education, there is no certification, there is no title that fills the empty hole of not feeling like you're enough. So I was really chasing success.
All right. So, you know, I think that's an interesting statement. It just sort of reminds me of some of the things I read about. I mean, it would seem that anybody who achieves a significant level of success, I'm talking about people who come from nothing, end up as billionaires, they have, you know, amazing careers. I mean, those may be all the kinds of people. They're always sort of striving for the next, like, it may seem like nothing's ever good enough. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe is that a good thing? I mean, is it a bad thing?
I think it can be a very good thing, but a lot of the people that I serve, at the end of the day, they lay their head on their pillow at night and they wonder what it's all for. Okay. Or they feel like they get there and they're a step away from being found out. Like at any minute, somebody's going to go, you're a fraud. You're not really qualified to do what you do. So, I think it's when it's destructive. And how do you know? Okay. If you climb ladders that lean against the wrong wall and you chase success and you know it's never enough, you're still trying to fill the void. So a lot of the people that I end up working with that I serve are people that empty hole's still there. They're high achieving alcoholics. They're high achieving, but they have this other thing underneath. Like they have everything they could ever want in life except the one thing that really matters.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So you talked about a void and the one thing that matters. So you have a practice. Let's back up a little bit. You have a practice that helps people who are, I guess, dealing with emotional types of issues, and that might include addiction and other types of things. Am I right about that?
Addiction is the cough. Like if you came in and I was your surgeon, I wouldn't treat your cough. I'd see what it was about. And it's usually if it's cancer, not the cough, right? Presenting symptoms or alcoholism or addiction, that's not really what I treat. What I treat at the root of that is codependence. And so I've identified 7 different personality patterns. Like when we grew up in dysfunctional families. We have a way to do love, a way to get love, and a way to kind of thrive or cope or connect in the family dynamic that we grow up in. And that forms a lot of times codependent patterns.
All right. So as someone who's not a clinician, doesn't have your background, tell me when you say codependency, maybe explain that or define that for us so we can understand it.
Well, a lot of people think it's just like, I can't do anything without asking your permission. I don't feel important unless you're validating me. And that's one way that codependency shows up. But there are multiple forms. I've identified 7 different types of patterns. One of them is the fixer. So maybe in my relationships, I'm the fixer. I constantly run to everybody's rescue. I act as a hero. I have caseloads instead of friendships. Another type of pattern would be a withholder. So I don't know how to connect and be intimate, so I keep people at an arm's distance. I withhold emotionally, physically, sexually, any way that I can, or I keep score. Another personality pattern is a tester, where I'll push buttons and wait for you to abandon me and reject me. So there are multiple ways that codependency shows up. My job is when I'm sitting with somebody to identify their unique codependency pattern and then provide, like a psychological surgeon, get in there, figure out what the challenges are, correctly identify, and then eradicate.
Okay, so how long have you been doing this? It's very interesting work.
20 years.
Okay, how'd you get into it?
I got into it out of necessity because I was so messed up.
You can
I'm not going to swear.
It's all right. I don't think the FCC is regulating us.
No? Okay.
And if they are,
listen,
so be it.
I think that how I came to teach it is I needed to learn it. And so I just immersed myself in study. It's like I had all the success. I had everything that I could ever imagine. I had reached kind of the pinnacle. I'd climbed all the corporate ladders. I started at the bottom. I worked my way up to a C-suite position. I was running a company with thousands of employees, traveling around the world as a business consultant, international business consultant. And I would go home at the end of the day and I would drink my face off until I forgot my own name. I would take a bunch of Ativan or whatever I could take with it, and I would wake up and march back into that company and run it like I, didn't miss a beat. And I was living a lie. I was like a pretender in my own life. And I think that out of necessity came, I have to find a way to overcome this once and for all. And the root of it was my own worthiness. Okay,
so you're traveling the world. Are you sort of going into companies literally all over the globe and just working to fix them?
Fix them, take them over, restructure them, retrain, hire, fire, do whatever needs to be done to that company to make it as profitable as possible.
Okay, I mean, that seems a whole different world from being, the coal miner's daughter. I mean, it's almost, when you think about it, you're like, you're the daughter of a coal miner, and the next thing you know, you're traveling all over the world, fixing corporations. Surely in your wildest dreams, you could never imagine you'd be doing that.
Well, it was perfect, because when you grow up in an alcoholic home, you take on the role of the fixer. And so you get very good at anticipating people's problems and needs, operating the whole house as a corporation, so making sure it doesn't break down, taking care of the siblings, managing, making the peace, anticipating problems before they arise. I had a Harvard-level education on fixing things in my childhood, fixing them even before they would break down. So it was natural for me to want to then go into the arena of fixing companies because I was a fixer. That was my codependent personality pattern.
So how long were you doing the business consulting for?
About 10 years.
Okay, that's so
about a decade.
And at what point did the whole issue of addiction really sort of start to creep in?
I was living in Los Angeles, and I was running a company there and had several locations around the States. And in 2008, the economy took a tank, and kind of the luxury of the business that I was in, people weren't really paying consultants anymore. It was like, I just lost everything. Everything came to a head. And I found myself with my bags, rolling them up the sidewalk to my father's house in Westover, West Virginia, on top of the little shack of a chic place. And I put my Louis Vuitton luggage on the floor.
He must have said, Louis who?
Ridiculous, right?
Who's that?
Just put it on the ground, because that's how I identified I was a big shot, right? Because I could buy the bags and I had made it. So I put my stuff on the ground, and I was hungover, childless, in my 30s, had nothing at all, and thought, what kind of a life have I been living? I've been climbing ladders that were leaning against the wrong wall. I've climbed ladders, but I haven't gone anywhere. I haven't really accomplished what I wanted to. I'm alone, and none of it matters.
Okay, so you said, so what were you looking to accomplish? Like what were your goals?
Happiness.
Okay, so
my only goal was authentic happiness,
All
not
right.
a mask, not pretending. I didn't want to pretend in my own life anymore. I didn't want to have to pretend I wasn't hungover or pretend I was happy when I wasn't. And I wanted to know, how do you do that? How do you become authentically happy no matter what's going on around you?
Okay, so for you, what was your definition of happiness? Because I know for me, when I spent years not enjoying being a lawyer, that to me was unhappy. But I still have my daily issues. But as a general rule, I get up and I'm excited to go to work. I look forward to going to work. If it stopped tomorrow, I think I would revert back to what I did before. And before, when I wasn't happy and I was making tons of money, had all the material possessions, I know what it was like to to have all those things and still be unhappy. But for me, as a man, I needed professional, integrity. I needed to feel good about what I was doing,
We all need that too, but I bet you, Mark, if I looked at your history, at the times in your life you were happiest and unhappiest, you also had connections in your life that were meaningful, because the quality of life is really the quality of your relationships. You could have the dream job, but if the relationships inside that organization aren't fulfilling for you, it won't feel happy. And so I could look at you and say, I could probably say whenever you were unhappy with your law that you were practicing, you were also probably alone or in a dysfunctional relationship that correlated somehow. So
I would agree.
Yeah.
I had a short-term marriage.
Sure. So
Yeah.
I think that it always, addiction or any kind of Band-Aid on a flesh wound, which is what addiction is, okay? It's a lame attempt at happiness, because addiction is a disease of loneliness and isolation. It's an inability to connect intimately with another human being in a way that feels authentic, real, like you're seen, and loved. And so because we can't bond with who we want to bond with, we bond to a substance instead, or food, or shopping, or whatever else it is. So my definition of authentic happiness was to really learn how to be intimate with another human being, be seen, be vulnerable, get naked, metaphorically and literally, and not worry about it. What's going to happen when I expose all of me? Are they going to run? Are they going to reject me? But I had to learn how to cultivate that ability to just be myself. How many people just don't know how to be themselves?
Okay, so how did you accomplish that? Because it's hard. I know your husband, and we've started to get to know each other a little bit. And so to imagine you any other way than the terrific lady that you are, hard for me to understand that.
The difference was you would probably still perceive me at the time as a terrific lady because the outside looked good. Okay.
Still looks good.
Thank you.
It does.
You're flirting.
A little bit. But I took your lead, so just so the record's very clear.
Okay, just in your defense.
In my defense.
I did tell you that you look more handsome every time that I see you. When I saw you,
See, I'm going to blush.
That's my favorite thing to do.
You did it. You succeeded.
I love it. My work is done here for the day. No, but what I was saying is, you could have seen
Deanna's
me.
laughing in the background
it's
here.
funny
it's okay.
because I like to that's my favorite thing to do is just, I don't know, get
okay.
people jarred. I don't know
You
why.
jarred me.
Isn't
How's
that
that?
weird?
I feel
right?
jarred.
Isn't that weird? From the outside looking in, everybody else's experience of me, except for when I was drunk, was uplifting, inspirational. It was the same manifestation outside, but it wasn't authentic happiness. So had you met me, you wouldn't have known the difference likely. But I knew the difference. I felt like a pretender. I was putting on a show for everybody else. It was like I was two lives, a double life. One way in my public persona of who I was, and then in private, I was desperate, anxious, lonely, and depressed. And so...
Sounds like half the legal profession, to be honest with you, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I work with a lot of people that are very professional, that reach that level of what everybody else would think, what's the matter with you? You should be so happy and fulfilled. You've reached this level of success, but there's an emptiness.
Okay, do you think that's why sometimes we because we always, one of the things that I've learned in the whole working within the treatment industry for the last almost 3 years now is, that addiction doesn't really discriminate. It doesn't care what color your skin is, your religious background, how much money you have. Mm-hmm. But yet we see, we've had a number of athletes who came on the show before we came over here to the studios, and I just did it out of my office, right? Athletes who made lots of money, won championships, and then we see on the news about, stars like Demi Lovato. You'd think they have everything, but yet they feel empty. Mm-hmm. And so that's hard. Somebody who comes from nothing, I could understand, but somebody who has everything, that's almost hard to comprehend. Like, how can you be happy? You have everything.
Mm-hmm. It's the imposter syndrome. It's like feeling like you're just it's not really you. You don't deserve it. You didn't work hard enough for it. At the root of all of that, just from my personal experience and understanding of all the people that I've helped, is really a worthiness issue. It really is a self-love issue. It's a worthiness thing. It's like I don't feel either I get the success and I thought it was supposed to make me somehow. When I get to this point, then my life will start. When I earn this degree or start this career or have this or that. And the reality is it's never ending. It's never ending. So how did I do that? I asked myself two questions primarily, kind of that week, really. I said, what am I no longer willing to settle for? And what do I really, really want? And out of that...
So what did you really want?
Authentic happiness.
Okay.
Authentic happiness. And honestly, I have a client that I saw not too long ago, and sometimes we can forget talking about what you're talking about. Like we look at somebody and we think, God, they must have everything. They must have no problems. Wow, what would it be like to be them, that happy and free? I had a client come to me, and this woman could have everything that you could ever want, okay? All the money in the world. And she could have everything, trips, anything she could ever want. And I said, wow, and for a minute I forgot. And I said, what can I offer you? And she looked at me dead in my face and said, authentic happiness. So it's like it takes a special person to understand what I'm saying.
That's your trademark now, authentic happiness, right?
Right, authentic happiness. And people who know that are the people that know that they've been putting on a show. And a lot of people like that are people who can't afford to let their guard down. They're in the high profile type of world. They can't or people co-sign their bullshit, right? People will say, well, it's not that bad because they want to be liked more than they want to be helpful. So they enable in that situation around that person because they're afraid to just go, hey, the jig is up. You're miserable. What's up? They're afraid. And I guess I get that. I don't get that personally because at this point in my life, I'd rather be effective than liked.
I think you're both, actually. Probably. I'm sure. Loved, I would say, more than liked. How's that?
Probably because more people wish that they didn't care. But it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I've detached. I don't really care. Like I used to be obsessed with what people were thinking about me. And I don't care anymore.
You think maybe that comes with age, though? Because I think as we get older, right, we stop worrying.
I don't know. A lot of the clients I have in their 40s and 50s.
As my dad got older, it just seemed like the things that might have bothered him, or he just seemed to not give a shit anymore. He was like, I'm just doing what I want. I'm an old man.
Probably at like 60 or 70. But I think, a lot of people I serve are in their 40s or 50s or 30s, and they're nowhere near that. That's where they're going. They're going to get to the, two places in life. I always say your job in life is to eat at the buffet of life. Your job is to eat less shit. That's what I tell my clients because they're used to doing it. They know how to do it. They scoop it up in their platter and they taste it and they go, and they pretend they're not eating shit, like it's delicious, right? And they pride themselves on eating shit, and you don't know because you'll never see them sweat, right? They just suck it up. That's not what life's supposed to be. You're not supposed to pretend to be happy with something you're not, but that's what a lot of people end up doing.
So what's the time frame between getting basically the crash in 08, which sort of ended your career, traveling the world, right? And what you're doing now? Because there was a journey. There's a journey in between.
10 years.
Okay, so what were you doing for those 10 years?
For the last 10 years?
Well, no. I mean, so you got done in 08. Mm-hmm. I mean, you didn't just suddenly open up the door and say, oh, I know, I'm going to be a life coach.
Oh, I was always a life coach, but I was living a double life.
Okay.
I was always a life coach. I was the shoemaker without shoes. It was the ultimate show. I would go help you, because I'm a fixer, right? So I would help you in your own life.
Are you still a fixer?
Clearly.
Okay.
Clearly.
Fixing other people's lives.
No. What I do is I provide you the tools to fix your own.
Okay.
Okay. I used to be delusional and think that I fix people. Now I understand, I inspire, I teach, I give you the tools. But I was still always really great at what I did. I was just really terrible at applying it to my own life. And so in 2008, I took a few years, a break, a couple of years, just to develop my philosophy of how I was going to get through this. You know, when I wanted to get sober, and I really was a binge drinker of immense proportions, it was bad. Waking up with shame, not remembering where I was, it was a horrific way to go. And when you're a binge drinker, there's like this lie you tell, well, I'm not really an alcoholic because I don't drink every day and I don't have to drink so much every time. I can have a glass of wine here or there.
So it's denial. I mean, which is what we...
Totally denial. But binge drinkers have a special kind of denial because they don't fit in necessarily with like a classic kind of what we picture an alcoholic to be, right?
So when you say binge, are we talking about like you go to work, you may be staying in a hotel, you go back to your room. In other words, it was done in secrecy.
No, I'm saying binging, meaning I could go 6 weeks without drinking at all. And then binge and go one night would be a binge and then not drink for 3 days and then binge again 2 weeks later. But when you binge, sometimes I would drink a glass of wine and sometimes I would drink 3 bottles. It was always a decision. It wasn't like I ever woke up and said, oh, I didn't mean to drink that much. I knew I was going out, but I would just be like, screw it, because I was perfect for everybody else. I'm always pleasing everybody else. And my rationale was, this is the one thing that I have for me.
So the people you work with, did they have any idea?
A lot of them did. The ones that were closest to me would say, I'm worried about you. And then my defense was, I'm not an alcoholic like my dad.
Okay.
Right? Because that was my reference point. So when I wanted to get sober, traditional methods didn't line up with me. I wasn't a type of person that was going to work a traditional program. I'm not wired that way. There's nothing wrong with traditional programs. They work great, and millions of people do them, and they work fabulously and should work them. But for me, that wasn't an option, and people just told me, good luck then. You're never going to get better because that's the only way.
So how did you get better?
I created a method. I created a method for the root cause, which is worthiness and self-love. I mastered that method, and then the binge drinking took care of itself.
Okay. So what's interesting is, when Doug was here, we talked about, his background with Tony Robbins. So some of that sounds like a little bit of personal growth or Tony Robbins type stuff. I mean, you had some type of dramatic change up here and in here. So
it's all personal growth. It's all self-help. But the way my mind works, I have a mind like, did you ever see A Beautiful Mind?
Yes.
Okay. It's one of my favorite
movies. Great movie.
Okay. That's how my mind works, with solutions to problems and challenges and people. So like when I would say, this is the problem, I don't love myself, my mind automatically pulls forth a system in order to conquer the goal. Right? Like I like to put things into systems and processes and how do we get from point A to point B. And so a lot of these things that I've learned, I've studied for 20 years, right? I've studied the masters, not just Tony Robbins, but the Tao, Buddha, all these different things that kind of meld together with these principles and philosophies of life. And I actually have what's called the Promise Method, and it's 7 self-love vows. And I walk people through these self-love vows. And when you practice these vows that I have, everything else takes care of itself. You stop settling, sacrificing, sucking it up, people-pleasing. And when you stop settling, sacrificing, sucking it up, and people-pleasing, you then stop needing to self-medicate from doing those things, right? So I get underneath the hood, the root cause. That's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in like just trying not to drink. I'm interested in, why was I drinking, right? And I want to root that up.
But do you think that, maybe the addiction, is it different? I mean, because it seems like there's no one size fits all.
Right.
I mean, what what might be someone at one person's root cause might be. I mean, I know people who, were never having issues with addiction, went in, had knee surgery, I don't know, had a tooth pulled. And next thing you know, they're addicted to painkillers. So, I mean, that...
Well, I'm not treating addiction, I'm treating codependency. Okay, and the root of codependency is a lack of self-love.
Oh, okay,
right?
but there may... So,
but addiction might be the manifest cough
right.
of the cancer.
So,
the cancer is self-love. The cough is addiction.
So is it everybody you're treating? Not everybody's dealing with addiction, but it sounds like a lot of people are.
Not everybody I work with, no.
Okay, so it sounds like, and help me understand this, but it sounds like some of the people that you're treating that have addiction issues also have those codependency, self-love issues.
They all have
that's
those.
What's causing.
They all have those.
The substance abuse issue.
They all have those at the root, the self-love, the worthiness, that's all at the root of it. And they all come to me. They come to me for different issues, but all codependency at the root of it. So I have a lot of mothers who have children that are addicts and alcoholics, and they're the fixers. They're the heroes. So that's their codependency pattern. I have people that are highly successful, high-achieving people, and their issues are control or pretending. So everybody has a different root. Some of them have mother wounds, where they had a narcissistic parent or an abusive parent that they're healing from. So codependency has many forms. But you don't have to have abuse or dysfunction or trauma or addiction in your family to qualify as codependent, but most people who grew up that way do and are. But again, not everybody who grew up in an alcoholic or dysfunctional home is an alcoholic or an addict. But almost all of them have some kind of codependency problem.
Got it. Okay.
Does that make better sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Good.
So where's your practice based?
Out of my home, which is awesome. I also have a concierge service where I will travel to meet my clients because sometimes they just don't want to go anywhere. That's fine. I'm happy to do that. But I work out of my home, and I see clients one-on-one. I see them in group over Skype, clients around the world. I just had a client contact me from Denmark today. So I'm wonderful to see people all around the world over Zoom. I use Zoom. So
it sounds like life is great. I know you.
Life is great.
We both like
genuinely.
We both like your husband, and you're a mama
That's
too,
good
right?
News. I am. To a precious, oh my God, strong-willed, beautiful girl, LOV. Yeah.
How old is she?
She's 4.
Okay, so I have 5 nieces. They're all, what are they now? Ranging from 14 to a senior at college. So I think you have some exciting times coming.
No, well, they're exciting now. I mean, we think, oh my God, what's gonna come? Because she really is a feisty little one, and it's really cool because it's really given me an opportunity to give her what I wanted. And she's very strong-willed. She has no problem with boundaries. She wants to tell you what she wants and when, and she's highly sensitive. And that's the way I was when I was a little girl. Very sensitive, very strong-willed, and felt things very deeply. And unfortunately, I was told, toughen up, suck it up, don't be weak. And that causes you pay a price for that. So it's a beautiful thing to see that mirrored and be able to do with her what I wanted done with me and kind of break that cycle.
All right, so I want to know how people find you because I know I looked at your website.
They can go to HeidiRain.com or lovecoachheidi.com.
Okay, so is it HEIDIRAIN?
Yes.
Okay, I got that right first time.
HeidiRain.com.
I like lovecoachheidi.com.
Lovecoachheidi.com because love is all there is, and love is what you need to heal. Self-love.
Okay, so is it the same website or 2 different websites?
No, it's the same. It all goes to the same place.
Okay, so how would they reach out to? What's the best way for them to contact you?
Well, on my website, there's multiple ways to contact me. So through my website, or they can go on my Facebook and send me a message. There's lots of videos there. Every single Tuesday, I put out a new video of Teaching Tuesday. If you want to get more familiar with my work, but if I've been talking and you say, yeah, you know what, there's people that are going to be listening that are going to be like, I don't know what she's talking about. I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to you. The one person who's listening to me today and going, oh my God, yes. They're shaking their head. They're like, I get that. I know exactly what she's talking about. You need to message me because life is too long to be unhappy. It's not too short. It's too long to be unhappy, and you deserve to be authentically happy. So this is my invitation to you. I am talking to you. So go on my site, lovecoachheidi.com, and send me an email, and let's talk about how I can help you.
Yeah, and actually the Facebook page is great because there's a lot of cool videos. And actually, I think what are the ones with you and Doug? Because I've seen a couple where you guys are doing stuff together.
Yeah, we do like Motivational Mondays together, and yeah. We do little videos together. I mean, I love working with him and supporting him. And really, when he's speaking and he's doing his seminars, he's in his zone of genius, you know. And I like to play that role with him, which is supporter and encourager and uplifter. He has an event coming up that, you know, would be amazing to get introduced to him and also come meet
when
me.
is that? Let's
It's
talk about
November 10th, and it's in Deerfield Beach. And you can go to revolutionarygrowth.com/events to sign up and register for that, and meet both of us there and spend a day. And that's really going to be a great way, if you're local, to get an introduction to us and come hang out with us for the day.
And they should have, only because you're two really cool people.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And it was, you know, it's funny. We had dinner the other night, the four of us, and that was the first time I ever met you. And I was like, wow, is she cool?
No, I appreciate that. It's really hard for me because I'm such an introvert that
You see, I would never have guessed that.
I'm very introverted, and it doesn't mean that I'm like, you know, anxious all the time about talking. I'm anxious most of the time, but what that means is I don't know how to do small talk very well.
You did a great job.
And I like to go deep, and I like to, you know, talk about things that really matter. Like, I'm not the girl that's going to be the winner at the dinner party, you know. But if we're alone and we get in the corner, it's going to be a night to remember. See, that you could have interpreted that as flirting, but it wasn't.
No, I didn't. I said she's using her NLP on me. That's what she's doing. Doug's taught her the NLP. Deanna can't believe what she's hearing over here. She's probably gonna she's gonna make an appointment. I think she's making an appointment with you afterwards. You probably should give you a card. So I'm gonna give out my contact information in case anybody for some reason can't find you on the web. And if they can't find you on the web, I don't know, they need to check their web browser. Okay. But they can find us on the web at drugandalcoholattorneys.com, or they can email me, Mark, M-A-R-K, at drugandalcoholattorneys.com, or they can call us 561-419-6095. And the Sober Smash also has a Facebook page, right? So you can go on Facebook, check out Sober Smash, YouTube as well. Yes, go on YouTube, like us on Facebook, check out the YouTube videos. And
hey,
Heidi,
I'm on YouTube too.
Yeah, and Heidi's on YouTube too. Fine, then go and check.
Is it subscribe?
Would they just find you on what would they find you? Heidi Rain? Heidi Rain McGuirk.
Just type in Heidi Rain, that's going to come up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It was so much fun. This was fun.
Good.
You were well. I don't know if you were more fun than Doug. Doug was pretty good, and he had.
No, Doug's way better. He's an extrovert.
He wore a really cool shirt, by the way. See, I didn't even come in a plain shirt today because I didn't want to get out shirted again.
When I go to parties, we need Doug, okay? Because Doug is like the life of the party, gets everybody going. You know, I count on him.
He's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
For sharing that with me.
My
That's
pleasure.
great.
Yeah.